My name is Clay Clark. I'm about 6'1", and I am joined with the 7-footer David Robinson today, the NBA Hall of Famer David Robinson. This is a guy who's been super successful as a businessman and as a player on the NBA basketball court. Today he's going to be walking us through the step-by-step process of becoming an effective leader. If you own a business, chances are there's a couple people that work with you. And so now guess what? You are a leader. And so you and I have to learn how to become an effective leader. And David's going to teach us it's not an event, it's a process. It's something we can learn, and it's something that we can do. Remember, at Thrive15.com, we believe that knowledge without application is meaningless. So as you're watching today's episode, you need to ask yourself, what can you do to uniquely apply these principles in your own life and business? Otherwise, today's episode may just be more meaningless than paying for an email account. David Robinson, how are you, sir?
Clay, good to see you today.
Hey, you too. We're here today talking about the process of becoming an effective leader. And I say an effective leader. I think a lot of people, we're the boss of the company. There's 10 people that work with us, and so we're kind of by default the leader. Yes. But maybe no one's following us. Maybe they're tolerating us. So we want to become an effective
that happens
leader.
Too often.
Now, David, do you believe that effective leadership can be learned?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, most of us are thrown into leadership positions by default.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we're effective. But yeah, I do believe that most of us can become effective if we learn certain strategies. We all have different talents. We all have different strengths. But I think if you are perceptive, you understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, you can certainly become effective.
Well, here's an example, I think, of somebody who became an effective leader. You went to college and you were 6'6" in your freshman year?
About 6'7.5" or so.
6'7.5" your freshman year of college there at the Naval Academy. And you grew to be 7'1" by the end of your sophomore year?
Yeah, I was 6'7.5" with a day I reported and about 172 pounds. And by the time I was into my sophomore year, I was 7 foot and 235. So
That's ridiculous.
I had gained 60 pounds in the first 2 years I was there.
So you're now, all of a sudden you went from a guy who was, a good athlete. I think admittedly you'd said in high school you were okay.
I was just okay.
And you were, in high school, 6'5", 6'6" player your junior and senior year?
Right, 6'4" about my junior year, and about 6'7" my senior year.
So you were good, but you weren't like the best in the world.
Right. I had some college coaches actually come and watch me play and say that they didn't think I was good enough to play Division I basketball. So
then you get to the Naval Academy, where I think there's a long history of players who've gone from the Naval Academy to the pros. There's you, and then there's you, and I think it's pretty much you, right? And so you're there, and all of a sudden you become like the superstar. I think your senior year, you score 28 points a game your senior year in college?
Something like that.
It was a lot. You didn't count, but I was looking it up. So you were scoring a lot of points. So all of a sudden you went from one of the guys to like the guy.
Yeah.
And now you get drafted, and you're kind of, supposed to be the chosen one who's going to save the Spurs or fix the team or help.
Perfect example of someone who was thrust into leadership.
Okay. And so you're all of a sudden...
Had no choice on that one.
So let's talk about it. When the other Spurs, start showing up, and they've been there for a few years.
Right.
And you're the new guy. And they start showing up for practice. And what was that like, trying to learn to be a leader on the pro level?
Yeah, very difficult. And I would imagine for many business guys that come to a new company and you're supposed to be taking over a vice president job or something, I imagine it's pretty much the same thing. You're walking in a little bit cold, and there are some more veteran people there who know the system, who know the league, and yet I'm expected to come in and help guide the ship. Very challenging, absolutely. But I think the thing is you have to understand kind of your own skills and your own talents. And I think part of it was I had a fairly decent sense of who I was. Yeah. And I knew that I couldn't lead in a way that wasn't comfortable for me. Okay. And so I didn't try to be something that I wasn't. I just came in and there was a certain culture here in the team, and I said, well, that's not a culture that I'm comfortable in, and I think we need to build around
Did you actually address the music situation in the locker room? Did you ever say that? Do you remember talking about that?
Yeah, many times.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I addressed a lot of things. I mean, I was probably a little bit obnoxious in some of the things I did. I talked to my coach about, saying a bad word or two. I'd say, if you're going to, I don't mind you yelling at me. Just, you're just telling me what I need to do. You don't need to, say a bad word to me. But, and so those were things that just, I was a little bit, I wasn't afraid of anything. I just felt like I want to be what you need me to be, but I can't be something that I'm not. So my whole thing was either you accept me, you want me, or you don't, or you want somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to bring my talents to the table where I could be most helpful for the team.